was room, not much of it, and Morgadani then sweeps on through. Amazing. Today is 301 days since Marc Marquez last saw a checkered flag in a Sunday Grand Prix. October 23rd, 2022, the Malaysian Grand Prix in Sepang. A helicopter shot picks up our leaders there. Pecco Bagnaia, the factory Ducati versus Brad Binder on the factory KTM. They're both just running sort of like in lights out, and we are going Spielberg. Superb start for competition once again by Pecco Bagnaia. Now they just did in the sprint yesterday. Really good start as well by Luke Marini. He's up beside Pete Field, who nearly lost the rear. Big moment for the number 10. That's going to break up the field. It's Bagnaia and Binder clear.
Bagnaia's got away better that time, but he just got completely beaten off into the first corner. Marc Marquez came up the inside of him, and Bagnaia's had to check up. Look how far back he is. He's behind Bastianini and his teammate.
Absolute disaster for Marc Marquez. Top of the hill in the turn number 3. Bagnaia's down 11th place through the first sector. Close there between Marquez and Marini. Marini got a really good launch up the line. From 6th to 3rd in the first quarter, we had a big scare. Lit up that rear time the exit. He was pretty fortunate by the high side there.
Whatever Ducati found on the start system, it's clearly working a trick, isn't it? Because Pecco Bagnaia is clear of the KTMs. Brad Binder and Jack Miller, 2nd and 3rd. Then it's Alex Marquez with his battle with the Rudy VR46 Ducatis of Marini and Bezzecchi. Fabio Quartararo is 7th, and Jorge Martin, with that long lap penalty to come, is up 4 into 8th.
Bagnaia is trying to recover from another poor start. He has gone through on his teammate Aleix Espargaro halfway around this opening lap of 28 here in Austria. Already shaping up to be Bagnaia versus Binder, just as it was 24 hours ago in the sprint. Dropped down the hill through turn 9 for the first time. Through this final corner, high drama here down the ears. Second gear, Bagnaia's made 2 perfect starts. He knows, he was aware of just how good the KTM have been up the line so far this season, but he made the dream launch. There he is, the leader in the first lap.
You can see a gap opening up already as Fabio Quartararo's lost a couple of places late in that first lap. Martin is drawn in, and so too is Maverick Vinales. So Vinales looking to make up ground for what was a decent start on poor turn 1. He's now up behind Martin in 8th.
So the long lap penalty window now then open for Jorge Martin. He's just trying to get himself as far forward as he possibly can before he does come in. Look at that Maverick Vinales on that first lap. Pointing, he lost 6 places. Another shocking start. All the hard work he does on Fridays and Saturdays goes out the window before he's even clipped into 2nd gear off the line. Back at the front then, Bagnaia still leading by a couple of bike lengths from Binder's, getting that little front end a little bit nervous on that KTM as they drop down into the hardest braking zone around the Spielberg circuit in turn number 4. Simon, you got some thoughts?
Yes, you can see Binder is really trying to attack because he's so close, and he doesn't want to be that close for too long because of front tyre temperature. So he's clearly aiming at trying to get in the front and get the cool air, because maybe 3, maximum 4 laps there, and he'll be in trouble front tyre wise.
Yeah, it's going to be cooking up a barbecue on that front tyre. Thanks for that, Simon. Pecco Bagnaia, he spent the entirety of yesterday's 14-lap sprint to the front, and even he said, with nobody ahead of him, he was encountering a few concerns about front tyre temperature and front tyre pressure. He's got himself in a position A at the moment, Bagnaia. Lead group, power out of turn number 10, the final corner. Binder's just set the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:30.304. Just fractionally quicker than Bagnaia directly ahead of him. We're looking now from Binder's KTM towards Bagnaia. This was where yesterday the Ducati had the big advantage. The acceleration, picking up the drive grip, coming out of those low gear corners. This is where Binder really struggled yesterday.
Binder's having to take real risks on the brakes to try and close up the back once again. Pecco Bagnaia is already in a 2nd time behind Binder to the 2nd of the factory KTMs of Jack Miller. Jorge Martin has not yet served that long lap penalty. He's got 3 laps to come through there. At the moment he hasn't. You can understand why, because he and Maverick Vinales are pulling in a little bit of a gap on the group behind.
Miller there in 3rd place, although he's coming under big pressure here from the Ducati Armada behind him. Alex Marquez, Luke Marini, Marc Márquez Enea Bastianini, all on the GP22, which Jack Miller vacated at the end of last season to move to KTM. A long way to go here for Miller to make it a dream double podium in the home Grand Prix of Red Bull and KTM. Alex Marquez, who was 4th in yesterday's sprint, with complete on a solid weekend. There he is in 4th spot. Putting Marc Marquez down in 17th place and being the only rider of 23 to go out there with the Michelin software type.
It's a really tough 2nd lap for Fabio Quartararo. He lost 4 places. We saw the move from Vinales at the start of the lap. Aleix Espargaro, Enea Bastianini and Johan Zarco also made their way through on the number 20. So Quartararo in early difficulties as Jack Miller looks set to soon relinquish third place. Very late on the brakes there into turn one, wasn't he? And Jorge Martin does take along that penalty move, which he had problems with this morning. As he comes through it this time, he's safely through.
Pace off together with the front, no question. Bagnaia and Binder, they break into the 129s for the first time. The only two riders out on circuit in those 129s are already making that decisive break. In terms of the spectacle then, it's all down on Binder to try and keep par with Bagnaia at the early part of this race. Miller, Marquez, Marini, Bezzecchi are all in the sort of low to mid 130s. Bagnaia and Binder with by far the superior speed early on as Quartararo runs wide through turn number 9.
That's where he lost all that time then at the end of the second lap, and you see Bastianini just easing through. And Zarco too, taking places from Quartararo. He's running around at the moment in 11th place, promoting up a spot by Jorge Martin. So that long lap penalty completely erased all that progress that Martin made on the first 2 laps.
And they're still resisting Marquez, direct United on that Brazil Ducati. That's where Marquez is staying put next season now. Then has Binder got the drive going through the corner, coming through turn number 8. He was thinking about a lunge on the inside of Bagnaia, wasn't he? Down to hit that third gear, turn number 9. But Bagnaia just too good himself on the front end of that Ducati. And Pecco Bagnaia will know at the back of his mind as he sees on his pit board, sees the lap counter, Binder plus 0.1. He will know at some point that Binder's going to have some potential issues and concerns about front tyre pressure, front tyre temperature. It's imperative Bagnaia knows that he's got to keep the South African behind him.
Alex Marquez through then on Jack Miller up into third place, and you can see the Rudy PR46 Ducatis are now queuing up behind Jack Miller. This is kind of a familiar feeling, isn't it, for the Australian? We've seen it in recent Grand Prix. He's able to get up front in qualifying and get a good start, but then he ends up reversing back downfield, and that looks like fate for the Australian at the moment.
Yeah, Marquez kept him straight away. This was the move, the classic move. You get the drive through turn number 8 as they come over the crest. The blind run down towards the third gear, 120 kilometres an hour, turn number 9. Alex Marquez made that look easy. It certainly wasn't. Now then, with a bit of clear air in front of him, potentially just cooling down that front tyre because he sat behind Jack Miller for the first 3.5 laps. Alex Marquez at the moment, he's 1.8 seconds off the lead. Straight away, they're going to put nearly half a second between himself and Miller in that third spot.
Because along that penalty and his poor qualifier, Jorge Martin is now the best part of 7 seconds off the lead. He had made his way through on Miguel Oliveira. He's now behind Fabio Quartararo. So Martin's charge has resumed.
Yeah, Jorge Martin with the long lap excursion on that previous lap, his times are 33.6. So compared to the race leader Pecco Bagnaia, how much was the damage when it was well over 3 seconds? That's how costly yesterday's first corner controversy was for Jorge Martin. Alex Marquez, having got through on Jack Miller, is getting on with this, isn't he? A 1:30.222, best lap of his race so far as Bezzecchi finds a way through now. Yeah, and Marini. So Jack Miller, unfortunately, going the wrong way once again, just hasn't got the speed that he has at the start of these Grand Prix to keep the momentum going.
Next up behind Miller will be the 2 factory Aprilias of Marc Marquez and Aleix Espargaro. Vinales last time around did a 1:13.4, which was quicker than everyone ahead of him, with the exception of the leading 3.
This was the race start, and look at the superb launch that Bagnaia got from pole position. Maverick Vinales just goes the wrong way.
He's not in a bad position there, look, is he? But he just gets sandwiched into turn 1. He's got Miller on his left, Marini and Marquez on his right, and he just gets swamped.
That was a real aggressive swing to his right there by Alex Marquez. He was rewarded for that committed move because it got him immediately up inside that top 5. Good job that by Alex Marquez. We're on board there with Marco Bezzecchi, who had all his problems on the outside last year. That was the big scare, wasn't it? For Luca Marini, who got himself up into P3 very quickly. Back with the top 2 then. 22 in a couple of corners. 22 laps, a couple of corners of this race remaining. And Guy at the moment still able to keep Binder behind him. Binder really hasn't been able to get close to the show back. Guy's not looking how that rear ride-out device just drops the rear of that Ducati to pick up the acceleration grip. Over the line, nearly a quarter of a second between Bagnaia and Binder. With Alex Marquez 1.7 seconds behind second spot.
The fastest rider on circuit at the moment is Marco Bezzecchi in 4th place. He did a 1:30.0 0.067 on that previous lap. A couple of tenths quicker than the leading pair. Bezzecchi 2.5 seconds off the lead at the moment. A podium might well be on. He's going to have a tough task ahead of him to close in on this leading pair. And of course, the big question is, how long can Brad Binder sustain this up behind Bagnaia?
Miguel Oliveira, well, he's pitting on what is the very distinctive one-off special Barbie livery for the Data R&F team. Looks like he's calling it a day. There's been some kind of a problem there on Brad Binder's dashboard. What we said, tyre management's going to be so crucial in this Austrian Grand Prix. We're on lap number 7, and the KTM factory team are already getting a message through to Brad Binder about mapping 2, so already potentially changing the mappings, altering the power just to try and conserve some of a potential late attack on Pecco Bagnaia.
See further back, Marc Marquez and Marco Bezzecchi on good pace at this stage of the race. They're pulling clear of Marini. This is the battle then for 11th place. So Jorge Martin, after serving that on that penalty, getting back to the Oliveira, hasn't really gone an awful lot further since then. Martin still up behind the factory Yamaha. He did do his personal best last time round to 1:30.3, as quick as the race leader. But Martin is lying in an awful lot of traffic.
Simon Clayford on the spot as always. I think he's spotted what's ruled Miguel Oliveira out of this Grand Prix. Simon, down to you.
Believe it or not, it was something as simple as front wheel plates. You have to balance the front wheel. So, massive vibration because they've gone. I could see where they were until clean. They've just fallen off.
If it wasn't for Rossi, Miguel Oliveira wouldn't have any look at all, would he? Skittled out in that first corner collision yesterday. Third time this season he's been wiped out after Marc Marquez had brought him out. Fabio Quattraro in the ref. And now the loss of a wheel weight on the front tyre rules him out of this Crypto Data Grand Prix. Poor old Miguel Oliveira. I just cannot catch a break at all, can he?
Don't know how many ladders he's walked under in 2023, but the bad luck continues to follow him. We're now riding on board with Marc Marquez, who, as it stands, is on course for his first Sunday point of 2023, but it still feels rather surreal, doesn't it, to be riding on board with Marc Marquez in a battle for 13th, 14th and 15th place. He is ahead of his teammate Joan Mir now. He's up behind Frankie Morbidelli and Paul Espargaro, who's been able to make up ground after that 3-place grip penalty, but he's now lost a place to the feisty Frankie.
Coming through was Morbidelli there, whether Paul Espargaro liked it or not. There was room, not much of it, and Morbidelli then sweeps on through. Amazing today. It's 301 days since Marc Marquez last saw a checkered flag in a Sunday Grand Prix. October 23rd, 2022, Malaysian Grand Prix in Sepang. A helicopter shot picks up our leaders there. Pecco Bagnaia, the factory Ducati versus Brad Binder on the factory KTM. They're both just running sort of identical pace, and Binder just can't still get close enough to think about throwing up the inside of Bagnaia. 132 from Bagnaia, 130.3 from Binder. Simon, some more thoughts?
Yeah, I genuinely believe he's keeping that gap just to keep enough temperature, wind, fresh air on that front tyre. He tried in the beginning, couldn't get past. If he stayed that close, he would overheat it and either crash or streak backwards. So I've seen Joan Mir do it over the years. He was on the Suzuki, won the championship, and I'm pretty sure that's what Brad is doing now. And so it means he could be trying to sit there, wait for the right time to attack.
Yeah, thanks to that, Simon. At the moment on this 9th lap, Bagnaia has taken the lead by over half a second for the first time in this race. We've just seen there Jorge Martin pick off the fast-fading Fabio Quattraro in the top 30 office for the factory Yamaha team right now. Quattraro has just lost 11th spot then on this lap number 9. And Frankie Morbidelli's teammate only in P13, having got through on the previous lap on Paul Espargaro. So no Yamahas inside the top 10. Another pretty average day to say the least for the Iwata factory.
Brad Binder has been able to come back at Bagnaia a little bit in the 3rd sector and 4th in this lap. So in the end, Binder was quicker than Bagnaia on the last lap. But this is the biggest concern for KTM. Jack Miller's continuing to plummet down the order. He's in the high 130s at the moment. 130.9 and 31.1 on the previous lap. That's 3/4 of a second slower than the leaders are going. And surely it's a matter of time before Maverick Vinales makes his way through into the top 6.
And you shouldn't look back in anger, you shouldn't have regrets, but I'm sure Maverick Vinales has to have a couple at the end of this weekend. Having started on the front row, 2nd place, awesome pace on Friday, brilliant pace, so much potential on Saturday as well, but it's gone horribly wrong. Just seconds after lights out in both the sprint and this Grand Prix. Recovered to 8th from last yesterday. fighting Miller for may be as good as he's going to get, because he's a long, long way back of Luca Marini, and he's just getting maybe a little bit frustrated here. Jack Miller's so late on the brakes, isn't he? Never an easy guy to pass, and at the moment Vinales just running wide there, going through turn number 4. It just gives Miller a couple of bike lengths now into this third sector.
Shake of the head on the way out of the corner as well from Maverick, so he's letting frustration get the better of him a little bit here, because he feels he's got the pace to be somewhere around here in this battle for third place between Alex Marquez and Marco Bezzecchi. Last time around, very little to choose between them. Bezzecchi once again was the fastest rider on circuit. He did a 1:13.3, a tenth of a second quicker than the leader is going. So we've got an all Ducati battle for third place, the 73 against the 72.
Yeah, potential first dry Grand Prix podium on a Ducati here for Alex Marquez, as Maverick Vinales then finally does find safe passage through on Miller. So Vinales then up into P6, but he's a long, long way back. He's got to find probably 2.5 seconds to even get close to Luca Marini, and then try and find him out a way to pass the Italian, which is easier said than done with the acceleration prowess of the Ducatis. But Vinales probably won't have any concerns now about Miller. He's seen Miller come back to this group quite quickly. Miller just has not had the pace, has he, for that top 5 once again. But you do feel that that might be as good as it's going to get for Maverick.
As far as Miller's concerned, he was back in the 31s again on that last lap. He's slower than everyone in that train up behind him. So if Jack Miller's not careful, he might find himself slipping out of the top 10 altogether by the time this Grand Prix is all set and done. And Martin, to his credit, is showing front-running pace once again. He did his personal best last time round at 1:13.3. A potential top 6, not out of the question for Martin.
Just again on this lap number 11 of 28, still an awful long way to go in this Austrian Grand Prix. So much to think about in terms of tyre management, tyre temperature and pressure, but Pecco Bagnaia on this current lap has taken a couple of tenths out of Brad Binder. His lead is at its biggest so far. Simon, some more observations on Binder's current status.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is, it's okay up to a second, you know, and that's what I think a rider would want, but if it goes over a second, you know that, or, yeah, especially well over a second, then you know Brad's in trouble. If he can keep it around a second and then go back in, I think he's managing it.
It is creeping up towards that second barrier, which Simon has just talked about. 0.768 was the margin over the line as Miller continues to go the wrong way. He's now picked off by another factory Aprilia. This time around it's a later Spargo who's gone through. That's put the British Grand Prix winner up into 7th spot.
Feels like every Grand Prix at the moment. Jack Miller's fighting a rear guard action after qualifying relatively high up the grid. He's now dropping backwards. He's in 8th place at the moment. Pecco Bagnaia, though, at the front is just doing such a good job. He's just managing that pace, continuing to just hammer away in the low 130s as his teammate Enea Bastianini to try and make his way through on the fading Miller. But Bagnaia is just managing this as he wants, just doing the lap times and asking Brad Binder, can you match it?
Miller just looks a passenger right now, the RC16. He only just got it stopped, going down and into turn number 4, and 2 corners later, he's already lost place to Bastianini. Jorge Martin's come through as well. It's a real wrestle, this, for Miller. He's just got a track in this warning as well. A real big struggle right now, this for Jack Miller. He's a bit of a sitting duck. Surely Joan Zarco is going to make very light work of adding more pain to what's been a tricky Sunday here for Miller in KTM Solo Grand Prix. There you go, confirmation screens on the track this morning. Just has not got the There's a shake of the head there coming out of that final corner from Miller. It's been a miserable afternoon so far for the Aussie. On that lap 12, he lost 3 places to Espargaro, Bastianini and Martin.
Yeah, Bastianini and Martin renewing the battle that we saw in the early stages of last year's Austrian Grand Prix before mechanical problems saw Enea Bastianini retire from pole position. Of course, Bastianini ultimately earned the factory ride. Martin is looking to exact a measure of revenge here, and 3 comes up the inside into 8th place.
Yeah, that's because Bastianini got it all wrong. He got in hot going into chicane, and it's just compromised all of his exit speed. Nothing he could do about that. Free time, that was a free pass for Jorge Martin. Yellow flags are out in the 2nd sector.
That's for turn 3, I think, as Miller tries to get back through on Bastianini. So credit to Miller, he's been tenacious here, and Bastianini now loses that to Zarco as well.
This is just a knock-on effect of Bastianini's mistake going into chicane. Twan Mir is going to have another DNF in the column next to his name. He was the rider that went out in the 2nd sector. Up the hill, hard braking zone into turn number 3, which usually Just a slow speed front end tip off there. Let's hope that's the case for Mia. Yeah, Bastianini had a real poor lap 13 there.
Just see out of the commentary box window, incidentally, Joan Mir has now cleared for the racetrack, so he is absolutely fine. But as you mentioned, he's waiting for a point from the first Grand Prix to make sure he gets to the checkered flag in 5th place, because on that last lap, while he was back on with Marini, he lost over half a second to Vinales further back. Vinales running 6th, he's 1.7 seconds back. You can just see him there out the back of the picture. So I think Marc Marquez just needs to make sure now that he consolidates 5th, because any more mistakes or any more shenanigans, he could come under their pressure from Vinales.
Really good rescue job this by Marco Bezzecchi after the disappointment of being wiped out of the sprint yesterday, just 300 metres into that 14-lap battle. He's going to score some valuable points in the World Championship here. As we follow the World Champion, I'm sure post-race, Davide Tardozzi's going to be strolling up to our camera with the number 1, the numero uno, as he so often likes to do, because what can you say about the performance of this man? He's going to, without any question, barring any late disaster, any late drama, continue Ducati's domination here in Austria. Just look at that consistency. Lap 3, a 129.8 to keep Binder at bay. And it was a real burst from lap 17 onwards, even though he was lap 17 to lap 21 was the key phase of this 28-lap race. That's when he broke Binder's brave resistance. Binder's going to have a safe ride to 2nd place. Ika Lecrone's got a late long lap penalty for repeated exceeding track limits. Brad Binder's given his all. He's thrown everything at Pecco Bagnaia, both in the sprint yesterday and in the main Grand Prix today, but he's just going to come up short. 2nd place in both, though, in a front row start and a new 2-year contract for 2025 and 2026. Is that worse for you, Ken? Let's be honest.
In terms of Brad Binder, it's a reminder of how far KTM have come, but also how far they still have to go, because Pecco Bagnaia has made it very clear today, hasn't he, at the benchmark that they need to reach. Paul Espargaro has now also been given a long lap penalty, presumably for the same thing he'd also received in Chandler this morning. That's likely to cost him a World Championship point to his teammate Augusto Fernandez.
So we're on board then with Brad Binder. The KTM fans are on their feet. The Orange Army, as we always are here in the Red Bull Ring in Austria, out in 4th. They'd have been hoping that this man could have repeated his heroics of 2021, but unfortunately he is not going to do so because of this man's brilliance, this man's genius. We're on the last lap then here in the Crypto Data Grand Prix of Austria, and the data in the record books will show a convincing and commanding win for factory Ducati star Pecco Bagnaia. He starts his final lap 5.5 seconds clear of Binder. Safe second, a lonely second for the South African. Likewise in turn, it's going to be a lonely 3rd place for Marco Bezzecchi. Would it have been a different story for him? All this buts, whats and maybes, of course, had he not started 7th and then had to work so hard and spent so long to get through on the hard-charging Alex Marquez. But it looks like after his sprint disappointment, there's a podium on offer here for Bez.
If you're on the lookout for some late drama, your best bet is probably for 5th and 6th. Alex Marquez is continuing to lose time to Maverick Vinales, who's another rider who will look back at this weekend as what might have been. Through the first sector, Vinales has been able to close that gap to under a second, but unless we get a late mistake from Marquez, Vinales might have to settle for 6th place.
Davide Tardozzi looking rather pensive with the fingers crossed. He's got no need to worry. No problemo whatsoever for the number 1. The epitome of cool and composed. This has been one of the most dominant performances of Pecco Bagnaia's Grand Prix career. It's a half-century, 50 career podiums coming up then for Pecco Bagnaia. Utter domination. Ducati reigns supreme once again.